All right, guys. So welcome to the Health Babes podcast. So today we have Shawn Wells on. Shawn is awesome. I really love Shawn's Instagram. You have to follow him there on Instagram because he does really great posts. We were just talking about his post he did today about sitting too much. And it kind of really puts things into perspective when you look at little things like that. But he is a leading nutritional biochemist and expert on health optimization. And he has a brand new book out, when did it come out? Not that long ago, right? Recently?
April 1.
April, The Energy Formula, which is a really good book. So, and it's a best-selling book. So we're going to talk about that and some other stuff today. So welcome, Shawn.
Well, thank you for having me on, guys.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So let's start off by you telling us a little bit about your health journey. I was listening to you on a few other podcasts, and it was so interesting with everything that you've been through. So why don't you share some of that with our listeners?
Yeah, I had a chaotic childhood that I won't belabor, but it led to morbid obesity, junk food junkie kind of stuff, and I got picked on and bullied to the point where I was extremely depressed and suicidal, as a child, and I eventually got into college, and because of a lot of the insecurity I had, imposter syndrome, achievement drive. Like I had to win or be the best, or good enough is never good enough. I was as hard as everyone else was on me. I was even harder
on yourself. It's usually like that, isn't it?
It's a common thread that now that I have about 7 businesses now, and I've patented a ton of ingredients, and I've achieved all these things that, some of which you've talked about. And it should be one of those things that I should have been so happy about.
Mm-hmm.
But up until recent plant medicine work, I still wasn't even happy with that. It was still about leveling up and trying to get in a bigger and better room. Or, I get on, Ben Greenfield and JJ Virgin's show. Can I get on Joe Rogan? Until I get to Joe Rogan, I won't be. And then if you get on Joe Rogan, are you happy? It's, oh no, there's this other show. Or I get in this mastermind with Lewis Howes, but I got to get in this mastermind. This one's a little bit, it's like this game that just never ends. And, it's just you can have a $10 million home in LA and someone else has a $50 million home. You've got a loaded Corvette and someone's got a Ferrari. And it is a mentality that will break you down. And it's not even about stuff. It's also about accomplishments and just where you place yourself. And so for me, this is something I've struggled with most of my life is, and it wasn't so much the material stuff for me. It was really about accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And I wanted people to, to hit a level of accomplishment enough that people would see me, recognize me, love me. And then I would somehow take this external validation of love to somehow love myself.
Yeah. That's so relatable.
And it's something I see over and over in a lot of these masterminds with, it's almost like a common thread with a lot of entrepreneurs, why they're achieving and why they're so driven. There's often this message of trauma from their childhood and things like that are similar to mine. And so, through college, I went through autoimmune issues with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, Hashimoto's, Epstein-Barr. I spent 6 months in bed where I literally couldn't get out of bed. At different points, I've struggled with anorexia and disordered eating. I went from 300 pounds at 6'2", 6'3" to 150, where I was weighing myself after I peed to,
wow,
see if I was a little less. It was just,
yeah,
it became a hardcore obsession. And then there was points when I was 220 pounds jacked and ripped and I was working out 4 hours a day. But at no point during any of those body styles, like, was I ever happy with myself or loved myself? So, a lot of the biohacking stuff that I've learned is, one, me figuring out how to survive what I was doing to my body. It wasn't optimization, it was like
Right.
survival,
Absolutely.
because I was brutalizing my body.
Yeah.
Not only was I working 16 to 20-hour days, or trying to take all the caffeine and stimulants in the world and push harder, but I was also mentally degrading myself. I hated my body, and like I had thoughts about like taking a knife and just like cutting my fat off, because
Mm-hmm.
I just hated the way I looked.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the thoughts I was having on a daily basis. I treated people well, but I didn't treat myself well.
Yourself.
I
Yeah.
was always giving my energy away, but never kept any for myself. And, those were the struggles that I had. So a lot of the stuff in the energy formula, like what I'm talking about, is I want to, one, prevent people from going down the road that I've gone down. Two, I've learned a lot of these things as a matter of survival. But
Right.
now, on a solid foundation, I can serve them up as a means to optimization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I really am changing the foundation. Like there's a lot in here of like what people will come for and want, like in terms of the biohacking stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
this book goes very deep into creating the foundation of the things that they need,
Yep.
that I've struggled with most of my life. That, like there's the your tribe component here, and growth mindset, and there's a lot of pieces that I was missing. And I feel like a lot of the hardcore biohacking uh, people or influencers can often be missing too,
Mm-hmm.
with all the, enemas and peptides and exosomes and things. But do you love yourself, bro?
Right.
It's
Right.
like, that kind of stuff that needs to be the foundation. If
It
you look
does.
at like the blue zones and you see these people, they're not doing enemas and peptides and exosomes. They have great food, yes, and maybe red wine, but they have tribe.
Exactly.
They have each other. They
Mm-hmm.
have purpose. They don't just get discarded at 60. They have purpose, and they continue to do things that are important and relevant. They're connected. They have that structure around them, that network that further reinforces quality of life.
That
And like
community.
that's what makes them live past 100.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm not saying any of those things are bad.
No.
Like they're cool, but it needs to be on that foundation. That's what, like, hating yourself and doing all this other stuff, that's what I was doing for years.
Yeah.
So that is that is my
No,
long-winded
thank you
answer
for
to that
sharing
question.
that. We appreciate it. It's so relatable. It really is.
Especially for people like us who are in the
Yes.
same business. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and we've, I've probably been in some of the same masterminds as you have.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of people who can help others, but they can't really help themselves. So, yeah, that's great for you to say that out loud, because most people won't, most people won't share that.
Well, for me, like now, writing the book was cathartic, and it started about 2 years ago when I presented at a conference, and I decided to really open up about depression and suicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
And normally I'm presenting on ingredients or biohacking
Yeah.
or keto or whatever, and I was like, if I do this, like, what if like they completely reject me? And I just wanted like to really go into my story and like why I was taking these ingredients, or how these ingredients helped me dig my way out of autoimmunity or depression or suicidal thoughts, or all the struggles I've had, the disordered eating, and it was something I like, even up until like I went on stage, I'm like, this is not going to go well. Like they just want to hear the science from me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I had like already made it, and like I had kept changing it the whole like, couple days leading up to it. Like, and it went off great. And people were like, that was so helpful. Like, I've struggled with a lot of the same things. Thank you for saying that. Um, and it was the genesis behind me opening up and feeling like I could write this book, that, I'd get into all the science, I'd get into the hows and the whys of mitochondrial dysfunction
Right.
and all that cool stuff, but also weave in my stories and why I think this is important, as it related to me healing myself, and then ultimately how it can help you heal yourself.
I love that.
You talked about finding your tribe. And I think in order to find your tribe, you have to be vulnerable and tell your real story. And that's why, people come to us for whatever we've been through, because we tell them what we've been through. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm going through. No one's ever said that or whatever. So I think it is really important to have that. So that's awesome. So let's talk about stress. So there's, different types of stress. There's eustress, which a lot of people have probably never even heard that word. And then distress and allostatic load. So let's, basically the stress bucket. So do you want to go into that for us?
I know eustress sounds like I stress, you stress, we all stress for stress.
Yes.
But it's EU stress. Like, so EU means like good stress,
Right.
or maybe another term is like hormetic stress, like in something that will force positive adaptation or growth. And then, so if you can imagine, like, this is something I have like in the book, this diagram, like a bell curve. And on the left-hand side of the bell curve is this EU stress, this good stress. So there's, it's starting to ramp up. There's a certain amount of stress that's going to help you. And when we say stress, I'm not like saying stressing out, like it's physiologic stress, meaning like working out or cold plunges or fasting or, to some degree, mental stress, but it's all these different stressors. And then as you get towards the middle of the bell curve, there is this Goldilocks zone where it's the perfect amount of stress and you get the perfect amount of maximal adaptation. So this is like the dream zone of where you want to be. And then on the backside, or the left or the right-hand side of that bell curve, is distress. So now you're starting to go down the slope of like diminishing returns for your stressor, to where it's actually seemingly counterproductive. And the idea of allostatic load means like that you have a stress bucket in your body. You have a capacity for stress, and everyone's bucket size is different. But know that you can change that bucket size based on this hormesis or eustress. You can grow that stress bucket. And when your bucket's very small, it's very quick to overflow and become distress and overwhelm and counterproductive aspects of your health, like inflammation, glycation, oxidation, DNA methylation issues, like all of this stuff, faster telomere shortening, and all the things that we know of, elevated cortisol, that's going to happen with your overflowing bucket. So to be more resilient, to have more room for stress, to be more anti-fragile, we want to grow that bucket. And the bigger bucket we have, the more we can take on and it be a positive stress. But for example, there's things like fasting, like cold plunges, that you may think of as eustresses, as hormetic stresses. But if we're going through a divorce and we just lost our job and our kid has COVID, or, whatever it is, all this, I don't know, all this stuff, there's all this stuff in the news that's stressing you out about rioting and what, then it's like all these things that were supposed to be positive stressors are now distresses.
Yeah.
So it's about that collective impact on your body. It's about all of these stressors adding up and then overflowing that bucket. So that's where having that bigger bucket is going to help you to deal with those kind of stressors, to be more resilient. Those are like the people that are, calm and cool under fire. They have very big stress buckets.
Why don't you talk a little bit about how we can increase our resilience? I was listening to another podcast with you, and I love you talked about the 2 hour break or even the exercise snacks, just giving our, our audience some tools to take.
Yeah, so that's great. There's first off, there's supplements.
Yeah.
I'm a supplements guy that help with resilience and dealing with stress capacity. So things like adaptogens, so
Yeah.
rhodiola,
Mhm.
ashwagandha, lion's mane, ginseng, these kinds of things. And I like to rotate through them instead of using them consistently. I think they all work on different mechanisms of action, but ultimately it's increasing your resilience, your ability to deal with stress. So that's a great thing. And that's why we see adaptogens help with sleep and focus and immunity and strength and, sexual health. And, they help with, it seems like they help everything. It's
Yeah.
because they're improving that stress response. So they do.
Yeah.
And then after that, there are things like I was saying, these hormetic stressors that are good, like to add up as you can deal with them. So, this is certainly going to the gym, but what's right for you so it doesn't become a distress and you stay in the eustress or Goldilocks zone area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be things like, cold plunges or showers and red light saunas or hot saunas. In intermittent or extended fasting, the ketogenic diet or metabolic flexibility, playing with
Yeah.
that. Those kinds of things are going to be helpful. And then mentally, things like brain games, like journaling, meditation, learning a new language, learning a new instrument. These are going to help with neuroplasticity, which
Love
is
that.
going to improve your resilience overall. And then getting into some of the things that you were discussing. What was the one you brought up?
The 2 hour break and then
Yes.
the
Okay.
exercise snacks. I thought it was
Yeah.
so cool how you
Mm-hmm.
explained it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the deep work technique by Cal Newport, where you set aside a 2 hour chunk of time that is completely undistracted. And that's really important to have productivity. We spend most of our day distracted, and really you can compare this 2 hour chunk and it is way more productive than someone's entire 8 hour day,
Right.
because we're not multitaskers. I know there's some data people say like women are better multitaskers and blah. No one's actually a good multitasker.
I'm the worst multitasker.
What we end up doing is it's called task switching.
Mm-hmm.
And it can take like 3 to 5 minutes to like switch back and forth. So when we're on like our cell phone and we're looking at Instagram and Facebook, or someone's coming in and out of our office, and we're getting email notifications and dings and calls and all of these things, we're not getting work done. We just keep switching back and forth, TikToking. And so we get very little done. Plus, we're adding distress to ourselves. We're using up a lot of brain energy, and it's leading to overwhelm and exhaustion, even
Yeah.
though you're not accomplishing very much.
Right.
But it's stressful. We're
Mhm.
literally putting ourselves like in this like energy depleting, exhausting, stressful, dopamine fixated like state all day long.
Mhm.
And the idea of this deep work is, let's say 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., just having focused work. You turn off Wi-Fi if possible. You turn off all your notifications, like block out your schedule. No one come in your office if possible. You don't check email, and you just get focused work done. And that is a way to like own your day.
Mhm.
It's also like having your dialed morning routine.
Mhm.
And Tim Ferriss found like the common thread. There was like two of them to all the successful people he interviewed, was they had a great morning routine, and they were essentially resilient optimists that viewed things as opportunities, and they didn't look at the lens of like winning or losing or failure and success. It was like, now I know what it's not. Now I know like how to keep moving. Like there's another opportunity here waiting to come out of this. Like, They just have a resilient mindset and optimist mindset. But it's important, like the start of your day is like how you own your day and sets the tone for the day. And so doing your deep work, if you knock this thing out and it's 10 a.m. and everyone else is still like, checking email and,
Scrolling or
exhausted,
doing, yeah.
scrolling and chatting at the water cooler and, getting more coffee and, wasting time to get to lunch. And you've already knocked out like this huge thing. I mean, just know like how that does, not only are you accomplished, but it sets the tone for the rest of the day of being an accomplished person. And that is a game changer to me. And then there's an idea also that's similar with the Pomodoro technique, where about every uh, like 45 minutes of every hour is like when you're doing focused work, and then you take 15 minutes to do breaks and an eye break and a movement break, which gets into like that stacks really well with this idea of exercise snacks.
I love that.
It's a new idea of like the research is showing that we're so sedentary that if you think about, we're either like laying down in the bed, we're laying on the couch, we're sitting in the car, we're sitting at the office, that our lymph isn't moving, our blood isn't moving, that our body is actually dynamically trying to remodel itself in the way that makes the most sense to energetically be as low as possible, like to not waste energy essentially. So like if you're constantly in like a sitting or laying position, your body is actually trying to remodel like the muscles, the fascia, even the bone, the vertebrae, whatever, like to make sure you can stay in this position energetically, because it's the position you need to be in. It thinks, I mean, it's
Yeah.
smartly doing its job, but we're supposed to be athletic and moving and, dynamic, and we're not teaching our body to do that. So the problem that they're showing, like, yes, it's great to go to the gym, whatever, for an hour a day. If you do that, that's amazing. There's certainly benefits to lean body mass and maintaining strength and all that. But they're showing that like it takes about 45 minutes of working out to undo 8 hours of sitting. And that doesn't even include all of the other hours of laying down and sitting, and when added up. So doing these exercise snacks is actually more beneficial to longevity, according to the data, than even going to the gym for that hour a day. Now, it'd be great if you were doing both, obviously. But the idea is every hour you find a way to move, like do a plank, do some sit-ups, do some yoga poses, do some sprints out in the yard, whatever it is, like, if you're at an office, it's just, air squats, like something where you move your body. And it's also good. There's a lot of data on resting your eyes and not looking at, blue light screens.
Yeah.
So it's not healthy for your eyes either. So it's good. Like 45 minutes focused work is Pomodoro, and then 15 minutes of taking a break, bio break, hydration, move your body, eye break, take some deep breaths, that kind of thing, and then get back to it. And you'll be way more productive. So those are ways to be productive and resilient.
No, that's
Krystal and
great.
we definitely need eye breaks. We both talk about it a lot. We get eye strain easily. I mean, when we have to use the computer a lot, we both wear the red glasses, but it's hard. I mean, it really is hard. I have to do that. Like I have to take eye breaks constantly, because if I don't, it messes with I even do eye exercises. I mean, it messes with everything, and it's not good. And it's just now as a society, we spend so much time looking at these screens. So
yeah, there's some things that you can do to help, like the blue light shift kind of apps, like you might have on your phone, like Android and Apple have. But there's also f.lux on the computer that you can use to like sunset to sunrise. It'll like shift to like more of a red hue in the screen, and you can also lower brightness. There's a number of apps that you're seeing on your phones that also have dark mode
Yeah.
that save how much brightness the battery has to put out, but it's also like more contrasty and easier for your eye and a lot less blue light. So that's another thing to do too, is shift the blue light, like I think it's called night shift or night mode or something
We
like
do,
that.
yeah.
Dark, yeah, and then also use these dark mode versions of apps or your operating system.
Yeah, that's really helpful because I have to do that and it has helped. And we used to do blue light blocking glasses, but we recently found these red glasses that were like meant for people because both
With
of us get
photosensitivity.
headaches if we look at the screen too long. And it's really, I mean, I told her, I was like, these glasses are literally like taking an Advil. I'm like, even if I'm just looking at a bright light and I put those glasses on, I have a headache, it will go away. So they can really be helpful.
And I would recommend for most people during the day, like these ones that they have like a tint on them, like that it's fine to use during the day, like they're
daylight
blue light
blockers.
blocking enough. Yeah, daylight. And then like, orange in the evening and a dark red like late at night.
Yeah.
That's kind of the recommendation. Some people are wearing these things throughout the day, especially people that just want to be marketing these glasses or whatever. But it does seem to me that that doesn't make sense because you want
to expose yourself.
Melatonin.
Yeah.
So you do want the blue light actually. So like,
I know.
it's actually like I've used blue light devices first thing in the morning to actually wake me up, especially when I'm traveling or when it's the winter and I got to get up and go to the gym and it's dark out. Like I'll use a blue light device like on my way to the gym to like get me going, wake me up.
Nice.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. Very cool. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the endocannabinoid system, ways that we can support that? You mentioned that in your book, and I thought that was so awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the ECS is like, it's kind of criminal, like the way it's underappreciated. Like
right. I know.
I think like, if I was to talk about the circulatory system or the nervous system or, the musculoskeletal system, everyone's like, yeah, like, I mean, there's doctors for that. It's well understood. This is the endocannabinoid system that controls mood and pain and a number of other factors we have yet to really explore in the body. It's actually considered like the master regulatory system. It may be like kind of what's controlling everything, like your motherboard, if you will. And so we're not really understanding it. It doesn't seem important enough, but it should be. And the endocannabinoid system, there's often deficiencies in it. And we need to take some of these cannabinoids outside of the body, potentially, exogenously as supplements, things like CBD, CBG, CBN, all these different cannabinoids. Again, we have yet to explore. We only understand a couple,
Right.
THC and CBD. That's about it.
Right.
But there's hundreds of cannabinoids. And which one might be best for you in what ratio and what timing, we just don't understand. Like it would be great if there was a lot of research going on here, a lot of doctors focusing on this, but it's not happening. And that's why you see, for some people, it can be miraculous. For some people, it's not.
Yeah.
For some people, I have to take 100 milligrams. Some people, it's 10 milligrams. And for some people, it's like, my depression's gone. I don't have to get surgery on my knees now. I'm getting the best sleep I've gotten in years. And so it can be that impactful for certain people and dogs and other animals too, we're finding. So there's definitely deficiencies and issues in the endocannabinoid system, and it's just sorely underappreciated.
I gave my dog CBD oil the other night.
Great.
We were sleeping at a friend's house and she was giving it to her dog. And I was like, well, let me try it for mine. She slept till 8:30. She normally wakes me up at 6 a.m. right on the dot. And I was like, I love this.
It's like doggy Benadryl. That's good.
Yes.
But it also, has so many benefits. I mean, decrease inflammation. And I know, for dogs, they get a lot of joint pain for a lot of, certain breeds and stuff. And we've been looking into that recently too. So it's really cool. I mean, it's
Yeah. With dogs, it can be pretty dramatic, the
Mhm.
way that they'll gain mobility and have less pain,
Yeah.
especially in the latter years, for sure.
I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of great things with anxiety and sleep support too. I mean, that's been huge for a lot of patients of ours.
Yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have certain brands that you like? I know
That's tough.
you're a big supplement guy, so
Yeah, there's one that I really like, a guy that I know, Bio CBD Plus.
Mhm.
It's a really solid company with enhanced bioavailability. There's another company I've evaluated and I've used their stuff called Feels.
Mhm.
They seem to be pretty solid. So that's one that I need to be doing more exploring on as well. Like
Yeah.
there's just a lot of stuff. Like some people will say, to use the natural one, and then there's full spectrum, broad spectrum. Like,
Right.
so, it'll be like all the other stuff that's in there. That's cool. But the problem is these terpenes and flavonoids and other cannabinoids, they have what's called the entourage effect, where they enhance the uptake of the CBD, let's say. But to me, like, if every lot is different based on like this, because you're not standardizing for all that other stuff, that means the effect is going to be different every time. So while it may be better over a synthetic or a pure CBD, it's also, to me, potentially more inconsistent. And if I'm trying to figure out what works for me, my body, like that's where, like, I think it's actually easier to take like one pure compound and then, scientifically evaluate it and like play with the doses. And then like maybe I add in CBG or CBN now, like you can actually get these different compounds now.
That's neat.
It
I
is
know
neat.
that I do terribly with THC.
Mhm.
Like I would rather die than have
Well,
THC.
it's THC has a very different effect when it's consumed orally versus when it's like vaped or smoked.
I've
Mhm.
tried, I've only tried it smoking it, and it
Mhm.
wasn't anytime recently, but I just know that I'm prone to anxiety. And I know
Mhm.
that some people prone to anxiety do not do well with THC. And it's
Mhm.
probably two different, there's so many different strains and all
Yeah,
that
there's indica and
stuff.
sativa, and yeah,
Yeah. I've just never been one to do well, but I have done well with CBD. I mean, I definitely have used it before going to sleep, and I have noticed it definitely makes you sleep. I mean, at least for me, it did
you
for
should
sure.
you should see about combining the two,
Yeah.
Okay.
They do like different
THC and
ratios,
CBD.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And there's actually, this is a crazy thing that for the time being, there's Delta 8 THC at these CBD shops. That is a massive loophole. So normal THC is called Delta 9 THC. And all this like farm bill regulation was like, well, you can't make legally Delta 9 THC. It almost seems like it was written this way intentionally, because now there's all these companies that have Delta 8 THC, which is like 99% the same thing and has the same effect, but is now legal in all these CBD shops that you pass by all throughout America in all these states that don't sell THC. So now these CBD shops are selling like 10x what they've ever sold, because essentially they're legally selling THC, and it's called Delta 8, and that's what they're referring to. They don't say Delta 8 THC because they don't want to get in trouble, but all these shops are selling Delta 8, and that's what it is, and it almost works exactly the same.
That's funny. Well, I live in Florida, so it's you have to have the card, but it's legal here.
Mhm.
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 So
Yeah, for sure.
let's talk about negative patterns. So I know you have tools to kind of break down negative patterns. So can we go over that?
Yeah, like I guess negative self-talk
Yeah,
is
like negative
Mhm.
self-talk. Yeah.
okay. So that's definitely one that resonates with me. And I would say, like I said earlier, I have been extremely harsh on myself, way harder on myself than anyone else. And it goes back to the idea of, if anyone talked to you like you talk to you, you wouldn't be their friend.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also are giving everyone the playbook around you on how you should be treated. If everyone treats you like crap, it's probably because you treat yourself like crap and you tolerate it.
Right. You let them.
You say, well, this is what I deserve. You know, you have to, one, change up the way that you talk to yourself, obviously, and then two, change up the people that are talking to you. But even though it seems like the more easy and obvious thing to change the people around you, and then somehow it's going to get better, like me looking for that external validation of like, if other people love me, I'll learn to love myself. And the more ideal way is that you start changing your own self-talk, become your own best friend, your own advocate. You're the inner champion, not the inner critic. And that takes practice. And that literally takes talking to yourself, saying like, you know, what's the positive here? What's the opportunity here? What am I blessed to have? You know, like, what am I grateful for? And then, you know, what are some things I can accomplish today? How are the ways that I'm amazing? Like, I'm really incredible at the following things. You know, I am healthy. I am beautiful. I'm, you know, one of the things that I learned is that I spent most of my life thinking that sexy, happy, successful were achievements. That if I got a six pack and had this much muscle, then I would be sexy. If I got, you know, this girl, or, you know, this lived in this location or had this house, then I would be happy. And if I had, you know, this job title and this amount of money, then I would be successful. And they're not achievements, they're states of being. You can have any, you can be sexy, happy, successful right now without going to get anything, without doing any changes. Like, you can just be those things. You can be sexy, happy, and successful right now.
Yeah.
And so that was a big shift for me, is just learning that these are just states of being that I can get into at any time. I don't need external validation. I don't need the achievements, but the achievements will come typically when you start believing these things about yourself. So it's about the power of belief. It's about manifestation. And I believe you're in the right place, right time, all the time, all the time. But we're two heads down all the time to notice it. There is that great person. There is that great opportunity. There is that significant other of your dreams. There's like the great job. There's the, you know, this great restaurant that you've been looking for. There's all these amazing things that are there, but you're two heads down most of the time to notice. And there is that better life if you let there be. But we're told by the Gary V's and the governments and, you know, all this to stay heads down, to grind, hustle and grind. Like, you got to get out there and sacrifice and hate it. And eventually, if you hate it enough, like, you'll somehow get to a place where you're ahead of everyone else because you were so heads down and they were wasting their time with their heads up. It's like the law of aerodynamics or something. But what they don't tell you about is like the other physics law of like, there's like pieces breaking off and there's heat and there's smoke when you're grinding.
Yes,
absolutely.
And your health is in hell. You're miserable. You're sacrificing. Like, hustle, yes, we have to be in the sympathetic nervous system. Sometimes we have to go chase things. Cool, but the whole point should be that we get into the flow state, that we are in our zone, we're in our true purpose. And the idea of like always grinding and spending your life hating something, that eventually you'll get somewhere ahead of other people.
And then 10 years of your life goes by, 15 years of your life goes by, and you're like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
And the
right?
quality's bad.
Yeah.
So to me, hustle and flow, yes. Hustle and grind.
Right. Hard work. Yeah. That's so awesome. So what are some tools to help you get there, to practice self-love and self-care and the way that you talk to yourself? What are some tangible things that
Yeah. So, I mean,
do?
for me, like, this is a 5-minute morning routine.
Yeah.
Like, So if you were to start the day with bam, 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 and you feel like the stress and you're like, oh my God. And like, you're already like, because you set your alarm as late as possible, you have as little time as possible, and you stayed up late watching Game of Thrones or, baseball game or whatever it is you do. And you're like forced exhaustion. We're the only species that does this. Like when we're exhausted, we stay up longer. And so
Oh,
we're exhausted in the morning, and I'm like reaching for, a soda, a honey bun, a donut, coffee with sugar, Red Bull, whatever, because I'm exhausted. My brain cells are actually firing slower. Like their synapses are firing more slowly because there's not enough cellular energy in the brain. There's brain energy gap. And so that's why we need the sugar, the caffeine. We're exhausted. Okay, I'm running late. I'm like getting in the car, it's like traffic, and you're already like feeling terrible with your day. You're starting out on the wrong foot. So everyone's annoying you in traffic, and you get to work. And of course, like you're not doing the deep work technique or the Pomodoro technique. You're like just checking email, you're looking at Facebook, you're distracted, you're depleting your brain of even more energy and accomplishing nothing. You're hanging on. You're going to go to lunch, and because you're exhausted, there's decision fatigue. So you're not going to make the better decision. You're going to say, I'll do that tomorrow when I have sleep. I'm going to have pizza and Coca-Cola today because I'm exhausted. I feel like crap. I just need what I need. And then you're hanging on, and maybe get like a Snickers and a Coke later out of the vending machine because I'm just exhausted. Can I make it to the end of the day? You get back in your car, you're weaving through traffic again. You lay down on the couch, have a beer, and you decide to watch Game of Thrones again. And this is the day. And how does that day feel if I just give you a 5-minute block of, okay, there's light that's slowly getting brighter in the room. You can buy lamps that do this as they get brighter and brighter and brighter. And your room gets more and more light, and you wake up to more natural light. And then you can get alarms, like either on your phone or analog alarms that will just get chimes that will get louder and louder and closer together. So you ease in and wake up instead of abruptly like cortisol
like yes.
and
Empathetic overdrive immediately.
Right.
and,
Exactly.
then I do some breath work. I'll do some box breathing. So that looks like 4 to 8 seconds of the box. So that means 4 seconds in, 4-second hold, 4-second out, 4-second hold. So that's your box. And, I might do that 4, 5, 6 times, get some breath work, feel grounded, feeling alert, feeling like I'm in my body. And then I'm going to do some gratitude. I'm thankful that I have a job. I'm thankful that I woke up today. I'm thankful that I have this bed. I'm thankful that I have food to eat. I'm thankful I have loved ones, a dog, a cat, that I have a house, like just, a car to get in. Like life is good. There's so many things that we're blessed with and we don't take stock of and appreciate. And then I'll go right from that into the positive self-talk of, I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am happy. I am healthy. I am successful. I am going to change someone's life today. I'm going to have an impact. And, maybe even lay out a few goals for that day, like, a measurable goal, a SMART goal, they call it. So I might, plan out a few things that like today I'm going to get this done during my deep work time. And that's going to feel so good. And here's how I'm going to celebrate myself when I do that. I'll take a walk, because I deserve to take a 15-minute walk while everyone else is just distracted the whole day. And then, I do some stretching and some light stretching. So now I'm in my body. I've done some breath work. I have gratitude. I have positive self-talk. And then I grab a full glass of water. I'm hydrated. This is like 5 to 10 minutes.
Right.
And how different is my day? Now I'm getting in my car. I'm probably listening to podcasts. I'm not as worried about people cutting in and out because I realize that those people probably didn't sleep well and they're agitated. And then I get to work and I do my deep work. I'm super accomplished by 10 a.m. And, if I'm an intermittent faster, then, I might be eating something between 10 and 6. Those are the daylight hours that Dr. Sachin Panda's data has shown us like circadian rhythm wise is the best window to be eating in. And so maybe I have something at 10, and then at noon, instead of going to eat with everyone else, I go take a walk for an hour, and I'm getting sunshine and fresh air. And, I mean, look at the difference in the day just 5 or 10 minutes makes. Like, you can set that aside. And of course, getting to sleep on time is critical. And I get in the book about having sleep hygiene, a sleep fortress, like protecting your area of sleep. That's important. I think that's not appreciated enough. Like, if a bedroom is not a place for arguments, it's not a place for kids to come run in and out of and play and ask you 15 questions. And I get it. You think, oh, that's impossible. You can set up
some boundaries,
this rule, and you can create boundaries. This bedroom needs to be protected. Obviously, the other thing the bedroom might be for is the other thing, but like, it needs to be about a place of
solitude
and
and
relaxation. Yeah, and solid. Exactly. Yeah. So, it's not good to have devices in there, TVs, laptops, offices. It's not good to have anything but things that promote relaxation. So having nice plants, having it be dark, not having LEDs, having it be cool, having the right bedding, all of these things are important to help you relax.
Can I just say that all of that is sexy? You know what I'm saying? Like, all of what you just said is much sexier than a six pack.
Exactly.
For every person listening, that is what no, seriously, if you make that time for yourself to do those things, if I saw that in another person, I'd be like, they are sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so everyone listening, I want to be voted onto the cover of People's most sexiest man alive.
I love it.
It's because I have proper sleep hygiene.
Yep.
And a good morning routine.
It all started from the morning routine to that.
Yeah. We will submit for you, Shawn.
We will submit.
Brad Pitt, George Clooney, please step aside.
Move over.
Set aside, buddy. I love it. That was so awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
For sharing that.
Can you let everyone know where they can find you and your book?
Yes. So the book, The Energy Formula, you can go to energyformula.com. And not only is there all the information on all the places you can buy the book and all the forms of the book, there's like ebook, hardcover that's full color, like front to back. It's really beautiful. Like, there's 60 diagrams, there's pictures in it, there's resource hacks and formulators corners that go into all the devices and the different supplements. And there's even like chapter summaries and quizzes. And so like, you can just open this book up and just for 2 minutes and find stuff and use stuff.
It's really good. It really is.
And so there's also the Audible, which I recorded with my voice, that's available as well. And then if you go through energyformula.com, there is all these extras that you get free. You get a hidden chapter on natural movement, which goes into the exercise snacks that we talked about. That's ancestral movement too, like that flow, like animal flow kind of stuff. There's a fasting for energy guide, and like how fasting is different for women and what that looks like. There is a recipe book, there's Q&As. So there's a bunch of like cool extra stuff that you get there. And then I'm at Shawn Wells, SHAWN on Instagram. Like you said, I'm putting out good content. Hopefully people love it. And I'm, ShawnWells.com. I have like a newsletter. I have all these free guides that are there, like a lot of scientifically validated stuff that goes out weekly to you, no cost. And I think that's it. So yes. And then I'm on Clubhouse at Biohacking.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and being yourself and sharing. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Yeah. Becky. Well, thanks for coming on.
Well, I am one of the babes too now, by the way.
You are.
You are a health babe.
You have to be if you're going to be on the cover of People. I mean, hold up.
I want a shirt that says
for sure.
I have one for you, Shawn. I am sending you one. It's a male health babe shirt.
Okay, cool.
I literally have it and a hat. I'm sending you both.
We're a small but growing segment.
love it. Well, thank you so much.
And
All right. Thanks, guys.
don't forget to leave a review and don't forget to mention Shawn's episode. We love for people to point out which episodes they like. And it just really helps our show to keep going and, to know kind of which direction to go in if you're looking for a specific type of episode. So thank you so much, Shawn. It was so nice, talking with you, and we'd love to have you back soon.
Yes.
I'd love that too. Thanks, guys.
Yep.